Hello interwebs, welcome to the editor's desk. I had nothing to make a video out of this week because of various reasons. Things were could just bust repairs or videos that got delayed because I ran into a spare parts requirement. However, on Saturday morning, a gaming PC came in with a no post, and while Caradog and I were doing our Saturday podcast, Two Guys Talk Tech, which is linked in down below, we thought we'd take a look at it. It initially looked like it was going to be a no fault found, and then it turned into a bit of a rabbit hole that I thought was interesting enough to share. So I've edited together the highlights from that stream into something that is kind of coherent. So let's go on an adventure. Good. Right.
Excellent.
Okay, what are we doing in the meantime? Do we have anything to do in the meantime? The white PC? Are we going to look at it?
Why not?
Sure. All right. I'm not going to try and do any kind of
20%.
formal recording just because we just haven't prepared for that. So we're just going to look at it and we're just going to see if we can fix it. And I'll just see if I can edit anything together afterwards. So yeah, this thing apparently is power cycling. I have not looked at it at all. I've not done anything. I have not confirmed that it power cycles. So as per tradition, we should plug it in and find that it just works first time, and it will be a no fault found.
Also, how many USB do they need?
Yeah, it's got a USB 3 breakout on the bottom of it. Is that a card? Oh, it's an actual controller board. Yeah, it's got a lot of USB on it. Like this motherboard has got 8 USBs as well. It's got an 8 USB motherboard and another 5 USBs at the back. All right, it's turned off and on. I'm going to try it again.
Oh, there we go. It works. Excellent.
It power cycled once and it's booting.
Best repair channel on YouTube.
Okay, however, the username is gaming. I love it. Okay, right. However, what this might mean if we may still have a fault here. It has booted into Windows. Yeah, there's no customer. It's booted into Windows. Okay. However, what we might have here, it did power cycle once before it started up, so it might be that it just never starts first time. That's still a fault. So we'll still look at this anyway. Okay, so this, yeah, this looks like it might be a no fault found. I'm going to shut it down. So now we need to do the very boring bit of systematically testing to see if we can find a fault with it, because it might have an intermittent fault or a fault that turns up under certain circumstances. Because, as I say, anyone who was watching when I switched it on, it did power cycle once before it posted. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's got a flat CMOS battery, which means the BIOS is resetting on every single boot, or every time it gets turned off. So that's not exactly a significant fault. This might be a case of we swap out the CMOS battery and that's it. This is what my whole week has been like. Imagine that I've just spent 20 minutes turning on the lights, getting the camera ready, aligning it, make sure we're in focus, start recording. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. We've got this computer, talk about the computer, talk about the story about it, turn it on, and it's a no fault found. It just needs a new CMOS battery. That's why there's no video this week. It's been like this all week, and I'm like, I'm begging something just break for me, or something break in a way that is fixable in an entertaining video. This has been my week. Okay, so I shut it down. It's still on at the socket. I'm just going to power it on again. Let's see if it starts first time. I'm expecting it to start this time because I didn't power it off at the socket. Yeah, it's starting. I'm going to interrupt
and then it didn't start.
However, look at this. It started, and on the screen it says, overclocking failed, please enter setup to reconfigure system.
Interesting.
That supports my theory that the BIOS is getting reset or it's somehow unstable. So yeah, this supports my idea that there's a problem with the BIOS and that is causing it to do RAM training or a CMOS reset or something like that on every boot. So I'm now going to turn it off at the socket. Okay, I'm going to turn it on again in a sec. What were you going to say?
Just to see if there was a dodgy overclock in there.
Yeah, it's worth checking, I guess. Yeah.
Because if there was one in there, then it's a case of, oh, that's why it's not booting.
Yeah. All right, I'll turn it on. So what I want to see now is if it power cycles again now, having been switched off at the socket. So again, I'm trying different turn-on situations. I'm trying to figure out how to reproduce the fault again. Look at that, it just power cycled again. So yeah, it power cycles after it's been switched off at the socket. Not uncommon to find people who turn off all of their sockets at night or turn off their computer at the socket at night. So customer might be thinking it's not starting. It has started on the second attempt.
Yeah.
I think I've just missed it. Yeah, it's going into Windows now. So
fair enough. Interesting. So you're going to get your multimeter and go.
I will. Yeah.
What are you?
Right. Let's lay this down. This is a Zotac GTX 960 2GB. So it's a 960. That's not too bad for someone's cheap gaming rig. The 2 gig model, not so good. The 2 gig model just doesn't hold up these days. The motherboard is a P8 P67M. And the CMOS battery is...
5 volts. Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Oh no. At 2.8 volts. That's low. Yep, there's your problem.
No, I don't want any of these. These are Chinese,
Probably
Japanese,
too low anyway.
French.
Yeah, 2.8 is low enough that it's probably that will be causing some issues. That's not completely flat, so that might be high enough that it's not sort of like throwing up any kind of errors, but it's going to be enough that you're going to start getting weird behavior.
I thought anything less than 3 was
pretty much
it causes an issue.
Anything, yeah, in my opinion, anything less than 3.1 is replace it. Anything less than 3 could be causing a problem. 2.8, you know, that's not flat. You know, that's not like 1 volt where it's a matter of, yeah, that's stone dead. 2.8 is not catastrophically low, but it's probably low enough that we may well be having problems with it. So, but what I want to do though, since we've got a really basic bitch problem here, let's just do a deep dive on this to explore things interestingly. So what I want to do now, Caradog's having fun trying to zoom in and out. I'm going to plug this in again, and I'm going to have a look in the BIOS, reset the BIOS, and I want to confirm that we can keep reproducing the problem. I want to confirm that it's not just a BIOS configuration issue. And I want to keep reproducing the problem, then replace the CMOS battery and prove that that is what has fixed the problem. And like, I don't think, theoretically, you know, in a surprise to no one, it's going to be that battery. I just want to demonstrate that. Because otherwise someone might go, oh, 2.8 is not that low.
Yeah.
I want to prove conclusively that that is too low. Because that is, there's now and then, like I say, anything below 3 could be causing a problem. I want to prove that this is causing a problem in order to prove that assertion, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I remembered to switch it off at the socket before I started pulling stuff apart. So let's just do that again. Because the problem now is that if the problem has now just disappeared after having a couple of restarts, then we can't prove anything.
What? That's confusing. Would you like to use DIMM socket A, B or C, with A meaning a single module in any slot, B meaning a pair of modules in either the blue or the black slot, or C meaning modules in both the blue and the black slots?
Oh, so okay, they're referring to configurations then, rather than, yeah. The problem has evaporated. That's really boring. Okay. Yeah, that's a shame. It's not power cycling anymore. The problem has just disappeared. Yeah, my guess is that the BIOS reset, probably because the CMOS battery was flat, and the customer just panicked and brought it in for repair without actually trying it properly. which surprised me because it didn't take, like, it power cycled once, but we weren't waiting that long before the screen lit up.
Yeah.
They must have just not tried this thing.
I guess.
I can't think of any instance in which it would not have started for them within 30 seconds.
Unless there was a bad overclock on there and it just wasn't recovering.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Annoyingly, now it's had a couple of reboots and it's come good. We'll never know. I mean, I guess we can check if there's any settings.
Has it actually...
yeah,
no,
see? Yeah, we've got a manual overclock in here. Yeah.
I think it was that.
Yeah. Do you want to get... let's get capture up just so people can have a look. Because, like I say, this is basically a no-fault found, which is incredibly boring. However, we may as well just get set up just so people can just look at the kind of stuff you see out in the wild, I guess. Now, there we go. We should have capture now. There we go.
Excellent. Can you tell me which version of the BIOS you have? Okay,
we have version 3701.
There is a 3703, if you care.
Cool. Okay. However, yeah, in the AI tweaker, we have got some manual stuff dialed in here. We've got a little bit more on the base clock, and we've got an all-core. We've got an all-core turbo 3.9 turned on. What's the stock for this CPU then? So for those of you who don't know your overclocking very well, you have the on old school stuff like this. This is before floating boost and stuff like that. You have your base clock, which is typically 100 megahertz, and then the multiplier, and the multiplier gives you your final. So it a standard. Let's have a look at this. If we go to auto, no, it's not going to tell me. What's the default for this CPU?
So the max turbo frequency is 3.8.
3.8. Okay, so the default for this CPU would have been 100 with a turbo multiplier of 38. So 100 times 38 gives you 3.8 gigahertz boost clock
for a single core.
For a single core, and the overclock we've got dialed in here is all core multiplier of 39. That gives us 100 times 39, which would be 3.9 gigahertz all core. But they've also bumped the base clock up to 103. So 103 times 39 gives you, in this case, 4017. So 4.017. So 4 gigahertz. So that's this overclock explained. It's a very, very basic overclock. And my understanding is that these kind of overclocks are really easy to do on early Core i CPUs. Like Intel's second and third gen, my understanding is you could easily just dial in big all-core overclocks like this and just set and forget. And they would
certainly for sort of 4.1.
Yeah.
On that point.
There's a good possibility that this overclock is completely fine. It's just where the CMOS battery has died. It's gotten upset. That's still my assertion of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it is a case that base clock overclocking, certainly on a non-overclocking board like this, is generally a bad plan. Yeah. Because the base clock will change the rate that the RAM's running at. Yeah. It will change the PCI link speed, and it will change the SATA link speed as well, apparently. Yeah. So it's a case that whilst the CPU might be stable at 4 gigahertz, it's possible that the PCI link isn't, or the SATA isn't, or something like that.
The other possibility as well is like, why didn't they just do 100 by 40?
Yeah,
you know,
can you actually just knock in 40?
Yeah, was it unstable at 40? Because if so, if it was unstable at 100 by 40, going to 103.39 on a computer that you're selling, that's a terrible idea because that's still redlining. And what you want to do is go to the point of being unstable and then walk it back a bit. But what they've done is go to the point where it's unstable and then just acquire that speed slightly differently. And it's like, no, you should have pulled it back slightly. I think they just wanted that big 4 gigahertz number.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm going to grab another CMOS battery. We'll change that out. And then I guess we'll just play around with it.
Why can I not change?
Did I set it to manual again, or I don't know? Have a fiddle. Yeah.
Oh, that's the auto tuner.
Ah, I see.
Oh.
Well, see you in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Thanks.
Might be worth aborting this before it gets going on that. It's just like,
Hello.
Why are we at 43 now?
I don't know.
I mean, if that's what the auto tuner shot for, maybe it just hadn't stability tested yet. Do you want to just dial in
I've put that to 100.
100? Yeah.
100 on that, and I'm just going to see what it does.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Because I want to see if it was the case of the idea that it was an unstable overclock. Because 43 by 100 is much higher than
Yeah, sure.
30.
Like, if it goes straight to Windows on this, then maybe it wasn't a million miles out of what it was capable of. I mean, yeah, it's booting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Odd. I don't know why that was in there then.
Yeah.
Unless someone was trying to memory overclock?
Yeah, maybe they were looking for a little bit of extra memory. But like this is second gen Intel. It doesn't care about memory speed.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's shut it down. Swap out the CMOS battery, and then I guess we'll bash in 100 by 40, run some stability tests, make sure it doesn't fall over, and that's us done basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually glad that I didn't set up for a mainline video on this, because that would have been another no fault found waste of time kind of thing. And like I said, I've had bloody too many of them this week. And just for posterity, if you want to show the overhead cam again.
TPU is overclocking. Hold on a minute. Bench cam with face.
Yeah. Okay, so as you can all see, with the new battery in there, we're now at 3.36. So
excellent.
So yeah. So yes, 3.3 is what you should expect to see from a brand new battery. So yeah, essentially anything that's less than 3.1, I would just replace anyway, because like if it's at like 3.09, it's still good, but it's getting low, and you have to work on the assumption that the computer might not get another service for X many years. And if the battery is getting low, it's probably going to run out before it gets to its next service. So you can prevent that from being an issue by doing preventative maintenance. CR2032s are cheap. They're really cheap, so just change it. What are you thinking?
That's for the front panel.
Yeah.
There's no USB 3 on the board.
Oh, maybe that's why they put it in.
So that's possibly why that's there.
Yeah. I get the feeling, credit where it's due, I get the feeling that the person who built this machine actually cares, because like don't get me wrong, it's not a high spec machine, and like this is a Lexar SSD, but on the other hand,
trying to do it for 200 quid or something.
Yeah, like it's a Lexar 128 gig SSD. They tried to put in they were really stretching the budget, but they still put an SSD in it. It's got a Corsair CX power supply in it. When they could have used, they could have used a CIT 500 or something like that.
Which probably came with the case.
Exactly. It's in a cheap ass case, but you do that. It's got Corsair RAM in it, Corsair Value Select, sure. The case has a USB 3 front on it, so they've stuck in a USB 3 card so that can actually be used.
Yeah.
I don't 100% agree with all of these decisions, but this feels like it was built by someone who actually cares.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of the cheap gaming PCs you can buy on Facebook, Amazon, and eBay, I think that whoever
that
built
one company.
Yeah. I feel like the person who built this was actually trying to build the best that they could on the cheapest possible budget. That doesn't mean it's good, but it means that they did what they could with what they had available to them, which I think is worth mentioning considering the absolute garbage that you can buy.
I just hope they haven't bought this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I try not to ask, because a lot of the time when you actually ask the customer, how much did you pay for this, the answer is usually heartbreaking, and there's no I don't trust myself to not grimace when the customer answers that question. Yeah, just to go, I don't, when they turn around and be like, "Oh, we paid about £600 for it," I'm just like,
"Oh no."
Okay, we'll try and get it working for you, madam. So yeah, and they're like, "Was that good?" I'm like, "It is a PC. You know,
It was a PC that you spent £600 on.
yes,
Therefore, in a way, it is a £600 computer.
yes. Oh God. Oh, I cry. Right. HDMI. Okay. Right. So yeah, let's just bash in 100 by 40, stability test this, and send it on its way. I think. UEFI BIOS. There we go. There we go. Everything is on. The BIOS has actually reset because I popped the battery out. So now everything is on automatic now. Okay, right. I'm just going to cycle it through Windows. Actually, no, we don't need to. We know it's going to work. Time for manual. Right.
Time for Manuel.
40. Right. Let's just smash in 100 by 40 and just see if it works. Cinebench is not a true test of an overclock. We should be doing like Linpack and stuff like that. However, Cinebench is a good sanity check. It's a good confidence test. All right, the CPU fan certainly spooled up. All right.
Does that say 76?
Yeah, 76, 77. Yeah, temperatures aren't great. Although we are overclocking. I don't know what these things run at. I mean, the cooler isn't great. It's a push pin cooler, so it's going to be cheap and nasty. I guess we could do the thermal paste on it while we're here, because, yeah, that's looking for 80.
Did they by default really run at 1.4 volts? I have forgotten. It's been so long.
Oh, it's pulling 100 watts, this CPU.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
It's a 95 watt TDP.
Really, was it? I assumed it would be a 65 watt. Yeah, fair enough.
No, it's a K-SKU. It's the K-SKU, though. And they did well to reduce the TDP to 95 because the first gen i5s were 130.
Yeah. Yeah, these temperatures are still climbing. Other than that, even if it's got more headroom, I don't think you could put any more overclock into this without putting bigger cooling on it anyway. I mean, I guess you could try pulling down the volts a little bit and see if it can do it. That would take out some of the heat, but... This is where it gets, like... Man, sometimes the old stuff is the most fun to play with, isn't it? No messing around with floating boost.
There you go.
Oh, rip.
I'm tempted to write to read-only memory. Excuse me. That is not a CPU error.
Could be a memory error, I guess. We might not be out of the woods with this thing yet. It's working, but that doesn't mean it's stable. This is the thing. I said sort of, oh, this is a no-fault found. Nothing to see here, folks. But this might be what the customer is experiencing. It doesn't start up and it crashes. Customers are really bad at explaining the problem. And this is why you can't just immediately say it's a no-fault found. Okay, well, I guess we'll drop it. We'll put it into stock, run the test again, see if it falls over again. Because if it falls over at stock CPU speeds, we might have memory problems.
Yeah.
And in which case we move to RAM test.
Is there a label on the other side of that? There is. What are you? Yes,
PCI USB 3 card could do that too. I agree. I have very little faith in adding USB cards. So yeah, if we get this thing stable, it will be very interesting to try the same overclocks with and without the USB card. Change the slot. Yeah. We'll start going through these things. We'll get it stable first and we'll narrow down what the actual fault is.
This has not posted.
Yeah, that was a really bad crash then, wasn't it? So again, this might be where the customer landed. If we turn this off and on, see, what might happen now is it takes like 3, maybe 4 attempts to get it to post, and the customer tried it 2 or 3 times. Then we came in and tried it the 4th time, and on the 4th attempt it worked, which might explain why as soon as I plugged it in, it worked first time, no issues. Doesn't mean it's not broken. So this is turning into a slightly more interesting repair now.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's just recovered from the failed overclock.
Yeah. So now the question is, will it run at stock speeds if we just take off that overclock entirely? Take out the USB card? Not yet. Not yet. One thing at a time. We know it'll recover again. One thing at a time. It's not it won't be difficult to make this thing work, but what we want to do is we need to figure out why it doesn't work. And if we change a bunch of stuff at the same time, we won't know why it didn't work. For the record, in my opinion, the true CMOS reset is always to remove the battery. However, in this instance, a jumper reset will be good enough. Since we're 99% certain that it's a bad overclock that's causing it. There we go, give it another spin. If it doesn't boot this time, then yeah, we'll do a battery out reset. Also, if we have this much, yeah, well, yeah, no, we need to get it back to stock speeds and see what it does. This is starting to feel very, very bad memory-esque, but that much being said, we're having trouble getting anything out of it now. Well, CMOS battery out. Yeah, give it a few seconds, then CMOS battery out. I'm just surprised that it's this upset, considering it got most of the way through Cinebench. Because, like, yeah,
Cinebench doesn't care about your RAM, like in the slightest.
Yes, but I mean, if
You
the
can be
if the overclock was unstable, is what I mean.
Oh, I
Not
see.
so much the memory.
What?
Can you just quickly pop in some known good RAM? We can do all of these things that you guys are suggesting, but you do them one thing at a time. Otherwise, you won't know which it is that fixed it. If we pull out the USB card and we put in different RAM, and we change the graphics card, and we change the CMOS battery, and we unplug the power supply, and then it works, we won't know which of those actually did it, and we'll be back to square one. Because the next time, if at that point, if it falls over again, we'll have no idea what the actual fault was.
It's also a case of, obviously, you don't want to go to the owner of the computer and go, well, you need a new graphics card, a new power supply, and new RAM.
Yeah, this is a really long-winded way of fixing it, but it means that when we actually get it to start, theoretically, we should 100% know what it is that was causing it. So yeah.
The board just doesn't feel like it's resetting.
Yeah. It's really upset. Considering it was running 10 minutes ago, it's really upset, isn't it?
It isn't. Did you re-jumper the jumper? Did you unpull it low or whatever it is?
Yeah, I did. Yes, it's in position 1 to 2, so it's definitely not in reset.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you mean about the DRAM lights. Yeah.
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 So it's just like,
yeah,
what
okay.
is going on with this?
So just as a quick thing, let's just pull the USB card just to make sure, because I have seen these USB cards just completely troll everything and everyone. Don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Then I'm gonna go and get some known good RAM. I don't think the USB card is going to be blocking post, but we'll just quickly try that. I'm going to go and find some DDR3. Oh, I can rob some out of the GPU test rig. That's DDR3.
Yeah. Stay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just pull the power cable on that, I would.
Okay, it does still turn off.
We need the magic smoke tension. I don't think we're going to get that. Is the RAM in the correct slots?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah, for second gen.
I did double check that.
Yeah. Although that goes without saying, because we've seen the computer run. The motherboard will accept this configuration even if it's not the optimal configuration. So stop chanting for the magic smoke. It's not going to blow up. The thing that's confusing me about this is the fact that it was working 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So like people who are saying, oh, it might just need the RAM reseating. I agree, these are all valid strategies, but it was working a moment ago. All right, there's a power cycle, so RAM training. Ooh. disconnect the hard drive. I mean, sure. Considering we are stuck in no post hell now, we are actually reaching the point where we might actually have to do bare boot, disconnect everything that's not needed. I can't see how it could possibly be anything like that. However, we are very much stuck in no post hell now, which is not like it was working. I don't know whether to be mad or relieved. Like, I'm mad that it was working and now it's not working, but also now I'm just like, ooh, now we've got content, you know. I mean, at this point, I may as well take the board out of the system and start doing bare boot. However, yeah, what's happened there? That's thermal paste. That's fine. Okay.
You are uninteresting. You are thermal paste.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Was it someone rude in the chat and you were just being really dismissive about their personality or something? Okay. Yeah. You know what? I will. We're changing a bunch of things. However, we're actually in no post hell. So at the moment, I'm just like, I'll change everything. I just want to see it start now, just so we can get back to some kind of method. So yeah. Previously, I was saying, oh, one thing at a time. However, if you're actually in no post hell, then you go in guns blazing and get the thing to start, and then you start working backwards again.
Yeah.
All right. If it doesn't start this time, motherboard out, different power supply. Right, that's definitely in. And
Is the
slot
8-pin in?
8-pin is in, yes.
Cool.
8-pin is in. All right. All right, power at the back. Go.
Go.
Let's
Definitely
ditch
not
you
the
as
other
well.
word. Not the other word.
We're not allowed to say ignition anymore. Yes. All right. Maybe the power supply is giving up. Because all of this can be explained by a bad power supply. And these CX500Ms, like, I like these, but they do fail.
As everything.
Yeah. All right. I am, yeah, Antec. We should have been having fun dialing outrageous overclocks into this thing for the giggles by now. And now we're stuck in no post hell. I hate everything.
Yeah.
All right. Different power supply. That should be enough for a go. Power supply on at the back. Ignition.
It did start the power supply, so that's a good start.
Still got the memory light.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Stick it in another random slot.
Yeah, I will. I don't get it. It was fine. It was running. Power off.
Donk.
I think we need to take the motherboard out as well, just to make sure there's not a shard of metal jammed through the back of it or something like that. Because the moment you take stuff like that for granted is the moment when that happens. Drain, please. We're on the Antec power supply, which has the biggest output capacitors you can imagine. So 5 VSB stays on forever. Right. There it goes.
Donk.
Right. Let's go for slot 2. So if it's not slot 1, then slot 2 would be a valid config next. All right. Activate. I'm rapidly moving into the mindset of check CPU next, even if it's just to reset it. To reseat it. Because what I'm going through, what have we done with this computer?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did do, we did rag it, and we threw it up to the high 80s, which will thermal cycle it. So maybe the CPU isn't settled nicely, and a thermal cycle has upset it. I'm grasping at straws here, but
We don't have anything
we're deep in
that age, do we?
I don't think so. Oh, we probably do
gonna
actually.
double-check
In the
this.
vast selection of CPUs, we probably do.
I'm going to check these CPUs,
Yeah.
but we don't have another motherboard.
No. 99% sure we don't have another motherboard.
The oldest board is 2nd gen, isn't it? Sorry, it's 4th gen, is that one and that one.
I'm taking the board out.
Like a 13th gen Celeron, maybe. But at the same
even
time,
then, I'd just
even
pay-
then, I'm just like, or you could just have like a 4th gen i7.
Yeah, or just for another £20, you can put the i3 in it. And then you've got something that's actually respectable. All right, GTFO.
I am pleased to not have experience of the Intel stock cooler.
All right. Thermal paste is kind of cooked. It's not awful. It was worth replacing, but, you know, it's not completely baked. $2,600K, just as it said it was. I see.
Trees are great.
I see guff on a CPU pin. On 2 CPU pins. On 3.
Is that one slightly out of alignment?
Yeah, that's where there's some guff. It's not out of alignment, but there's something there. The socket isn't great. I don't think that's our problem. Is that moisture? That might be residue from thermal paste or something, but there's some kind of residue on the bottom of the CPU.
Odd.
These are very weird things that I'd not expect to see. However, I'm looking for problems, you know. All right, let me just grab some sharp tweezers. Oh, I just pushed that in, so that's awesome, I guess. I'm going to do this with a blade. However sharp your tweezers are, they're not sharp enough.
A knife is sharper.
Yeah. I doubt this is
There's
causing...
also something to the right.
Oh, yeah.
Next to the plastic lump.
This guy here.
Yes.
That's a pin. I think that's got thermal... Yeah, that's thermal paste. I'm just going to get some alcohol and a toothbrush. And it's time for the gentlest of brushy brushies.
The brushy.
Yeah.
That looks okay.
It's fine.
I think. Yeah.
None of this is screamingly obvious. Like, none of this is making me go, oh, that's it. No doubts, you know. But, again...
It's also just convenient. There's a bit of schmoo there on the 2nd row up from the corner. Ugh.
That's a fibre of some kind. Like, maybe someone's been in here with a Q-tip at some point and left some fibres behind.
Will you pick up? There's also a brown bit.
Yeah, I see it. That needs... it's under the pin.
Also good work working monofocally on this.
Oh!
Where did it go? Where did you go?
I caught the pin, and the pin flicked it like a spring, and it just disintegrated.
Oh, where's it gone?
Well...
It's not resting
there. It is,
the
there
pin.
it is, there it is.
Oh, there. Oh,
Nobody breathe. That's hard, whatever it is. I don't know what the hell that is.
Weird. I have to say, though, it's quite nice being able to look at it on like a 24-inch monitor.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about these Andon Star scopes is it's very quick and cheap to get a picture onto a big screen. You know, however, yes, I have no depth perception here, which is why when I come in with the tweezers, I'm just like,
lower, lower, too low.
You know, so all right. All right, I think that's a lot. I'll just grab that bit of thermal paste just for good measure.
Luckily, this thermal paste isn't electrically conductive.
No. Not like heckin' Wild... Did you see Wild Floor Lamp post that picture of that laptop or whatever it was?
Oh yeah, it's just got liquid metal everywhere.
Yeah, and just, yeah, just liquid metal had just gone everywhere and just like, oh, it just stopped working. Activate. Power cycle. That was a quick power cycle.
Yes. Apparently you bent 2 pins.
Did I now?
So yes, that will be worth investigating.
I'll do a double check. Nope, it posted.
There you
All right, there we
go.
go.
There you go.
It lives.
No keyboard detected. Press F1.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oops.
We'll, just to settle that, we'll have, because it takes 30 seconds, we'll pop the CPU out and have another look. I am 100% certain I didn't bend anything, because I'm pretty certain I'd have spotted that. But I have had a pint of cider, so we'll double check just in case. Because
what the hell was that?
Bent CPU pins, sometimes they won't stop the CPU from posting. It might be a PCI line, in which case randomly one of the PCI lanes won't work, or you know, just random things won't work even though the computer starts and runs. So just because it's posted doesn't mean that there's no bent pins down there.
Yeah.
So we will check that just for posterity. Also because I'm like, no, I didn't bend a CPU pin. I would have seen that. So we're going to double check. And if there's any bent pins, then I will quite happily eat some humble pie. So was it guff under the CPU? What do people think? Like, none of those things that I picked out from that socket looked screamingly wrong to me. But
the CMOS battery was in the entire time though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Unless it was just a fact of the board literally wasn't resetting.
Yeah, it has been off for a long period of time while I dicked around with the CPU socket.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we have taken it out of the chassis. We have messed it around a lot, so it may have just come good. Yeah. I'm not convinced that me dicking around in the CPU socket is what fixed it.
Yeah.
However,
the thing that has changed from the last post attempt was that we did try it out of the case first.
No, we didn't.
No, okay.
However, I mean,
however, we have tried it out of the case. That's the 2 variables.
Yeah. I mean, there's no chunks of metal in the case sticking into the back of the board. In my experience, like everyone always says, oh, try it out of the case. I've never seen that actually work. Unless you've got a case that's like not perpendicular, you know. I'm not saying it's not worth a try.
Oh no, but it's also
but I've
just
never
meant
seen
that,
it do anything.
But it does just mean that everything in the case has been unplugged.
Yes, true. Yeah. However, also when I first tried it with the Antec, it was still in the case, and I had disconnected the SSD and everything else. We were on a 100% bare boot. Okay. So yeah. So
I'm just attempting to backwards account for variables.
Agreed.
To try and work something out. But
yeah. Whatever. Right, we'll check that socket, and then I guess we'll start rebuilding it until it breaks again, basically. So, or well, hopefully it won't break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad at the moment just because this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. It's working and we don't know why. All right, let's do a quick tour of that socket again. All right, I'm going to go anti-clockwise because I'm hectic. Nice uniform land grid array. Oh, there's a guy that looks wonky. Is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take that one on the chin. Yeah. I'll take egg on my face for that one. because even if whether it was me who bent it or not, I didn't spot it. Yeah, okay, I think it's just that guy. That's not outrageously bent. Oh, that probably went sideways when I was jamming the Q-tip in there. That's how that happened. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's fine. All right. I'll yeah. Yep. All right. Fair enough. Whoever called that, well done.
The problem is, if you reset this so it's in position and it stops posting.
I would probably just have to throw this thing out the window. Immediately retire and go to live in... I would go to live in Nepal as a goat.
Idea. Is possible that the hard thing that you removed under the pin stopped the pin from going down.
Yeah, could have been unsettling it.
Possible.
Yeah.
So, who's can we bench? There we go.
Yeah, that's an odd one. Yeah, I mean, as I say, whatever that... Yeah, it works. But then, yeah, maybe it was just unsettled, so it was intermittent. And we just got really lucky. And then at the moment we started jostling the PC and moving it around, we upset it again or something.
Perhaps.
Bizarre. Yeah, like any other time when it's been an issue in the CPU socket, there's been like a chunk of thermal paste or an obviously bent pin or something like a proper red flag where you can be like, that's it, that's your problem, you know. But yeah, oh well, we'll start it one more time. So we're expecting this to work.
Fingers crossed.
There's the beep.
Oh, there we go.
HDMI did work. There we go. Very good. Okay. Cool. We'll build it back up again, and then we should be back onto the original plan, which is...
Should we just put everything together other than the power supply? Prove that this works, GPU works, etc. Just so when it goes back in the case, we're changing fewer variables.
Agreed. Yep. Okay. Yep. Agreed. We'll chuck everything else in there. Yeah. Cool.
And also repaste the CPU whilst it's out.
Yeah, I'll actually I'll put the customer's cooler back on now, just because as far as we're concerned, we're done with the CPU. So
yeah.
Beep. It posted.
Maybe.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. Groovy. Right. Okay. I'm gonna throw all this back in the case as fast as I possibly can, and we can get back to actually testing this again now. It must have been the CPU socket.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's the only... Like, we did a lot of stuff trying to get it to post before we took it apart. I can't believe that... I cannot believe that the board had not reset. You know, like when we took the battery out, we didn't, like, normally when I take batteries out, I'll take them out for like 5 minutes. I'll take the battery out and go and make a coffee kind of thing. And we didn't do that. However, I don't genuinely believe you need to wait that long. I think it's like 30 seconds, a minute tops. Okay, we're good. We're good. It was a little bit slow on the post down. I'm like, don't do it. Ho, don't do it.
It did it. It gone done it.
Right. Well, okay, so we're into Windows. I'll just take that for a moment. I'll just check that we're at stock settings, and we'll just Cinebench it again and just make sure it gets through Cinebench and everything looks fine. And
so help me God if it has the same issue.
Exactly, that's what I'm concerned about. So we'll make sure it gets through Cinebench, and then after that we can start building up we can start dialing in the overclock again. Because at this point, I don't think the overclock was ever the problem. But we kind of want to, like, I don't really want to give it back stock because it's going to be down on power compared to what it was. I mean, if it's unstable, then fine, so be it. But yeah, let's see, clocks. All right. Wow, we have very high single core boost. The hell is that? 4.4. I think the motherboard is doing a lot of exotic auto stuff. we know that the BIOS is going to be at stock settings at the moment, so whatever, I'm just going to smash it and see what it does. Multi-core. We are all-core boosting to 4.4, so I don't know what the hell the BIOS thinks it's doing right now. However, we're doing that at 75 degrees C, so temperatures are certainly under control. We're at about 100 watts, so temperatures are still rising. I think that's heat soak.
However,
I mean, if it gets through this, then it's further than it was before anyway, so. Okay, and it's scored. Oh, we're on 10 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's enough of that. We get the idea.
However, yeah, that's not awful.
Will that give me the best score that it got on the run? And that more or less wraps that up. So we had a look at it. We did spend another, half an hour or an hour tinkering with the overclock settings to get as much out of it as we could. If you do want to see more of that, then the original podcast episode is linked in down below, and I've done my best to timestamp it just so you can jump to any parts that you were particularly interested in. The main thing that had us hung up at the end was there was that TPU switch on the motherboard, which was essentially a automatic overclocking switch. And what we hadn't realized was that basically overrides BIOS settings. However, once we switched that off, we stopped getting seemingly random default settings from BIOS, and we were able to nail down a consistent overclock that we were happy with. However, there's no reason to believe that overclock switch was actually the cause of the no post. That seemed to be something else entirely. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.